How did the Praetorian Guard, Rome's most elite force, go from protecting the emperor to becoming his greatest threat? At the height of its power, the Praetorian Guard was more than just a group of elite soldiers. They were the shield that protected the emperor and the sword that enforced his will. But under Caligula's reign, this sacred relationship slowly crumbled, turning loyal allies into silent assassins. Imagine a ruler, surrounded by those sworn to protect him, beginning to distrust every glance, every whispered word, while his guards watched his every move with a mixture of loyalty and growing resentment. What could drive a force so close to the throne to conspire against the very emperor they had vowed to defend? What was the breaking point? What led the Praetorian Guard, Rome's most feared and respected force, to decide that Caligula had to die? And how did this betrayal not only end his reign, but reshape the very history of Rome? In today's video, we'll delve into the complex relationship between Caligula and the Praetorian Guard, from their initial unwavering loyalty to the final moments of conspiracy and assassination. Discover how the emperor's behavior, decisions, and arrogance turned his protectors into something far more dangerous. You'll uncover what drove the Praetorian Guard to betray Caligula, the behind-the-scenes of this treachery, and how it redefined the role of this force within the Roman Empire. Get ready for a story of power, paranoia, and the fall of one of history's most infamous emperors. If you love stories that uncover the secrets of power and the dramatic twists of Roman history, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps us continue bringing epic content and sharing these fascinating stories with you. Now, let's dive into the betrayal that shook Rome and brought down Caligula. The transition of power in Rome after the death of Tiberius was marked by political uncertainty and a vacuum of authority. In this context, the Praetorian Guard emerged as a decisive player in consolidating Caligula's position as emperor. The leadership of Lucius Aelius Sejanus, later replaced by Macro, was crucial in shaping the Guard into a force that not only protected but also determined the throne's destiny. Macro, cunning and strategic, used his influence to secure Caligula's ascent, ensuring the Praetorians recognized him as the legitimate heir and publicly acclaimed him as their new ruler. In the early months of his reign, Caligula quickly won the support of the Guard. Young and charismatic, he embodied the Roman ideal of renewal following the austerity of Tiberius. His generosity towards his allies played a key role, granting financial rewards and exclusive privileges to the Praetorians, solidifying their loyalty. This initial bond seemed unbreakable, built on a mutual promise of protection and prosperity. However, the foundation of this relationship, though seemingly strong, would soon begin to crack as Caligula revealed his true nature. Among the Praetorians, there was a mix of respect and fear for Caligula. His ability to captivate crowds and command the admiration of his soldiers was undeniable. Yet, early signs of instability began to surface, though many chose to ignore them. Minor incidents, such as arbitrary changes in military commands or exaggerated displays of distrust, hinted at unpredictable behavior. Nevertheless, the Guard remained loyal, betting on the young emperor's growth into the responsibilities of his position. The relationship between Caligula and Macro also played a pivotal role during this period. Macro, who had risked everything to place the young man on the throne, expected to maintain his position of power alongside the emperor. However, Caligula's growing paranoia would soon shift the balance of power. Over time, this initial partnership started to crumble, creating fissures within the emperor's inner circle. As Caligula distanced himself from allies like Macro, his behavior began to generate quiet unease among the Praetorians. What could transform initial mistrust into an irreparable chasm? To answer that question, we must explore how Caligula's reign devolved from a promise of renewal into an era of excess and paranoia, setting the stage for his eventual downfall. Over time, Caligula's government began to reflect a spiral of extravagance and violence that alienated both his subjects and those closest to the throne. Initially, he was celebrated for public initiatives like grand spectacles and symbolic acts of generosity. However, These displays of power quickly devolved into reckless excesses, including absurdly expensive banquets and decrees that defied political logic. The Praetorian Guard, watching closely, began to question the erratic behavior of their emperor. Caligula's paranoia soon manifested in acts of repression. He ordered the execution of senators, confiscated properties, and initiated purges within his own administration. Even long-standing allies were not spared. This climate of terror uniquely affected the Praetorian Guard. While still the official protectors of the emperor, they now found themselves targets of his suspicion. Caligula went as far as reorganizing the guard's hierarchy, removing commanders he deemed disloyal and replacing them with figures of his own choosing. This growing distrust not only undermined the morale of the Praetorians, but also placed them in a precarious position. On one hand, they continued to swear loyalty to the emperor. Yet on the other, they were forced to witness and participate in acts that tarnished their own reputation. Arbitrary executions and public humiliations eroded their respect for Caligula, fueling resentment that, until then, had remained dormant. Every new, absurd order from the emperor was another step toward an inevitable rupture. The case of Cassius Chaerea, an officer of the guard, is emblematic of this period. Scorned by Caligula, who often ridiculed him publicly, Chaerea became a symbol of the growing discontent among the Praetorians. Although he was just one of many officers humiliated, his experience reflected the collective sentiment of the guard, a mix of dissatisfaction and a desire for retaliation. This silent tension began to transform into conspiracy as the guard found itself torn between duty and self-preservation. If Caligula's excesses sowed the seeds of dissatisfaction, what could finally trigger an act as bold as the assassination of an emperor? The answer lies behind the walls of the imperial palace, where secret plots and betrayals took shape. The next chapter will take us to the fateful day that sealed Caligula's fate and challenged the very concept of imperial power. The corridors of the imperial palace became the setting for one of the most dramatic betrayals in Roman history. By the time the conspiracy to assassinate Caligula took shape, the Praetorian Guard had already endured years of erratic commands, public humiliations, and personal vendettas. Among the leaders of this plot was Cassius Chaerea, whose grievances against the emperor extended beyond personal insults. Chaerea, like many others, saw Caligula as a danger to the stability of Rome and the dignity of its ruling class. The assassination, however, was not solely about revenge. It was a calculated decision to end tyranny and prevent further chaos. On the fateful day, Caligula, uncharacteristically, had let his guard down. He attended a series of public games and ceremonies, seemingly oblivious to the growing discontent that surrounded him. It was during one of these events, in a secluded corridor of the palace, that the conspirators struck. The plan, meticulously crafted, relied on precision and the element of surprise. Chaerea, alongside other high-ranking officers, cornered Caligula with a group of trusted guards who had secretly pledged their loyalty to the plot. The attack itself was swift and brutal. Armed with daggers concealed beneath their cloaks, the conspirators launched a coordinated assault, ensuring the emperor had no chance to defend himself. Caligula, once a figure of immense power, found himself at the mercy of those he had ridiculed and oppressed. The scene was chaotic, with the corridors echoing with the shouts of the conspirators and the muffled cries of the dying emperor. When the dust settled, the body of Caligula lay lifeless, marking the end of his reign and the culmination of the Praetorian Guard's ultimate rebellion. Yet, the assassination was not without risk. The conspirators knew that killing an emperor would send shockwaves throughout Rome and provoke immediate repercussions. The Guard, once a symbol of unwavering loyalty, now faced the daunting task of justifying their actions to the Senate, the people, and their fellow soldiers. Their ability to present the assassination as a necessary act to restore order and dignity to Rome would determine whether they were seen as heroes or traitors. But even as Caligula's blood stained the palace floors, the question loomed. What would come next? Could the death of one emperor truly address the underlying issues of power, loyalty, and corruption? Or had the Praetorian Guard opened the door to a new era of political instability and intrigue? These questions would find their answers in the aftermath of the assassination and the reshaping of the Guard's role in the empire. The assassination of Caligula marked a turning point not only for the Roman Empire, but also for the Praetorian Guard itself. In the immediate aftermath, chaos erupted as factions within the Senate, military, and imperial household scrambled to fill the power vacuum. The Praetorian Guard, once seen as loyal protectors of the emperor, emerged as key power brokers in the selection of Rome's next leader. Their decision to back Claudius, a member of the Julio-Claudian dynasty, was a strategic move to stabilize the empire and secure their own influence. This act of political intervention was unprecedented, redefining the Praetorian Guard's role from mere protectors to kingmakers. Claudius, initially viewed as a weak and unassuming candidate, was installed as emperor largely due to the Guard's support. In return, the new ruler showered them with rewards, further cementing their elevated status. However, this newfound power came at a cost. The Guard's betrayal of Caligula set a precedent that future emperors would neither forget nor forgive, planting the seeds of distrust between rulers and their protectors. Over the years, the Guard became increasingly entangled in imperial politics, leveraging their position to influence governance and, at times, even decide who would ascend to the throne. This shift in dynamics transformed them into a double-edged sword, a force capable of ensuring stability or plunging Rome into turmoil. The death of Caligula had demonstrated their ability to topple a tyrant, but it also revealed their potential to disrupt the balance of power when their interests were threatened. The repercussions of Caligula's assassination rippled through the empire, altering the relationship between the emperor and his guards. Emperors who followed learned to navigate this precarious alliance, often employing a mix of lavish rewards and ruthless discipline to maintain control over the Guard. For the Praetorian Guard, loyalty was no longer an unshakable principle, but a commodity that could be bought, negotiated, or revoked. This transformation raised profound questions about the very nature of power in Rome. Had the Praetorian Guard's decision to kill Caligula truly saved the empire from tyranny, or had it set a dangerous precedent that would haunt Rome for generations? Could their role as protectors ever be reconciled with their growing political ambitions? These questions would linger as the Guard's legacy evolved, shaping the fate of emperors and the course of Roman history. Before you leave, think about this. Did the Praetorian Guard's assassination of Caligula save Rome from tyranny, or set a dangerous precedent of betrayal that would haunt the empire for generations? Now, imagine another moment of chaos within Rome's legions, when Germanicus was offered the imperial crown amidst a mutiny. What made him choose loyalty to the empire over personal ambition? Click on the video next to this one to uncover how Germanicus's leadership in the face of rebellion shaped the fate of Rome and redefined what it means to be a true leader in times of crisis.